And the next night, Osun PDP dismisses election tribunal judgment. INEC to test beavers' workability in selected polling units across the country. Nigerians task federal government on devolution of power to states and local governments. While on the foreign scene, U.S. military kills ISIL leader in Somalia. Good evening, and we're glad to have you join us on the Major Reports. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbola. The Election Petition Tribunal, Osun State, has invalidated the electoral victory of Governor Ademola Adeleke in the last state governorship election and declared the former governor, Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, the winner of the election. The majority judgment by the chairman of the tribunal, Sekumi, admitted the petitioner's claim of overvoting on the strength of Beaver's report obtained by petitioners from the Independent National Electoral Commission. Adeboye Popola reports.
The tribunal chairman noted that the Beaver's reports that the petitioners tendered before the tribunal established that there were overvotings in 10 local governments. He maintained that by the provision of Electoral Act, the mathematical deduction of excess votes put the votes pooled by the former governor at 314,921, while Governor Ademola Adeleke total score was 290,266. It is on these results that the tribunal declared Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola the winner of the last governorship election in the state, noting that the election was not substantially complied with Electoral Acts. Earlier, the tribunal had overruled the objection by counsels for respondents that the Beaver's report from INEC server on which the petitioners predicated his case was vitiated by Section 104 of the Evidence Act, noting that the defects the respondents' counsels claimed were not materially strong to invalidate the admissibility of the documents. Justice Kume also heard in majority judgments that the electoral register was not materially substantial in electoral disputes, saying the non-inclusion of the documents in the exhibits that the petitioners used to prove their cases did not discredit their claims of overvoting. The tribunal maintained that the Beaver's machine remained the primary evidence in the electoral disputes and is superior to all other electoral materials. The minority and majority judgment delivered separately by Justices B.A. Oguli and Kume were unanimous that the petitioners did not prove their claim in respect of certificate forgery against Senator Ademola Adeleke. Justice Oguli, who anchored the minority judgments, noted that the evidence on which the petitioners based their case, which is Beaver's report, was not in existence and faint, as the data was inchoate at the time it was issued to the petitioner. Counsels for the parties spoke to journalists immediately after the judgments were delivered.
The dissenting judgment is what it is, and it's all about the issue of the opinion of that judge. The reality on ground is that we are dissatisfied, and the necessary legal steps for the purpose of challenging that judgment, we will embark upon it.
I have a belief that the Court of Appeal has a duty here.
Adeboye Popola, OSBC News.
Governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, has described the judgment of the governorship tribunal as a miscarriage of justice. In a release by spokesperson Malam Olawale Rashid, Governor Adeleke vowed to challenge the ruling at the Court of Appeal. Governor Adeleke faulted the resolution of the overvoting question in favor of Mr. Adegboyega Oyetola, calling it an unfair interpretation against the will of majority of voters. While urging his supporters to remain calm, he insisted that he remains the rightful winner of the July 16 election. The governor expressed his conviction that justice will be done at the end of the day. Meanwhile, Osun State government has called on the people of the state to continue to go about their lawful businesses regardless of the split of the election petition tribunal. The spokesperson of the governor, Malam Olawale Rashid, made the call while reacting to the judgment. He said that the governor has appealed the ruling and filed the stay of execution. He speaks further.
Excellency has spoken and we reject the judgment of the tribunal. We are going on appeal, and you are all aware of the minority judgment, which clearly established that there was no overvoting, and Governor Adeleke is eminently qualified to contest the petition. So we call on the people of the state to remain calm and everybody going about their normal duty without fear of any molestation.
In the meantime, the Osun State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has described the judgment of the Osun Election Petitions Tribunal as a booby trap set against democracy in Nigeria that could jeopardize the sanctity of the biomodal voters accreditation system in the coming general elections. The chairman of the caretaker committee of the party, Dr. Akindele Adekunle, said this while addressing a press conference at the state party secretariat, Ikorodu Road, Oshogbo. Abdurrahim Adekilepo was there.
Dr. Akindele Adekunle, the chairman of the caretaker committee of the People's Democratic Party, the judgment could best be described as a plot to scuttle the coming general elections. He said the party rejects the lead judgment as read by the chairman of the tribunal, Justice Tetse Kume, saying that the choice of words deployed by the chairman could best be described as a personal attack on Governor Ademola Adeleke.
The premeditated stance of the tribunal chairman was clearly demonstrated in his side of stalemate with his choice of words, which we considered unethical, disrespectful, and unbecoming of a judicial officer of such standing. Even if the judgment was well billed to him, as we suspected by his petitioner collaborators, he should have disguised and exercised some restraints by expunging the foul languages obviously written for him in local parlance of Buga lyrics to disrespect an elected governor. He shouldn't have gone so low and low.
The party chairman therefore called on the people of Osun State and Nigerians at large who have expressed their displeasure at the outcome of the tribunal to remain calm, as the governor and the party have chosen to appeal the judgment.
It's within the rights of our people, democratic rights, to of course protest. And over time, even before now, before the judgment, we've always preached to them on the need to be civil when they are protesting. And I mean, you will agree with me that since yesterday when the verdict was given, and there have been widespread protests across the 30 local governments in the state.
It has been Abdurrahim Adekileku reporting.
Following massive protests and demonstrations across Osun State, Governor Ademola Adeleke has expressed appreciation to the people of the state for their passionate show of love and rejection of the judgment of the governorship tribunal. This is contained in a statement signed by the governor and made available to newsmen, reacting to protests of support and rejection of the judgments from the 30 local governments and the area council. Governor Adeleke expressed delight at the reaffirmation of popular support for his governorship mandate, assuring the people that the mandate will not be stolen. He urged them to remain calm and not take laws into their hands, noting that he has appealed the judgment and that victory is sure. Normalcy seems to have returned to Oshogbo, the Osun State capital, following the protest that broke out as a result of the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal that overturned the victory of Senator Ademola Adeleke at the July 16 Osun State governorship election. Some residents of the state converged at the Olaiya flyover bridge, describing the judgment as unacceptable. Similarly, some residents equally gathered at Igbono Junction to show their grievances about the outcome of the judgment. OSBC News crew went through some areas in the state capital, including Ojaoba, Olaiya, Okefia, Old Garage, Igbono, Ayetoro, among others, and observed that residents were going after their normal businesses. However, it was observed that many of the Nigeria Police Force were specifically stationed at the Igbono Junction to ensure that there is no breach of public peace. It will be recalled that prior to the time the tribunal delivered the judgment, the police had issued a statement assuring people of Osun State adequate protection of lives and property before, during, and after the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal. Ahead of next month's general elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission says it has concluded plans to conduct a mock accreditation of voters across the country. Chairman of the INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, disclosed this at a meeting with resident electoral commissioners from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. According to him, the mock accreditation exercise, which would take place in about 436 polling units across the country, is aimed at testing the readiness of the biomodal voter accreditation system. Professor Yakubu said that the Commission is ready to conduct field tests across the country involving actual voters with BVAS machines. The mock accreditation will hold next Saturday in the polling units, as 12 polling units have been designated in each state of the Federation and 4 in the FCT on the equality of the country's 109 senatorial districts for the exercise. According to the INEC chairman, a comprehensive list of the polling units, including their names and code numbers, as well as their distribution by state, senatorial district, local government, and registration area, will be uploaded to the Commission's website anytime soon. Nigerians have called on the federal government and the National Assembly to give room for the devolution of power between the federal, state, and the local government councils. Those who spoke in separate interviews with OSBC News against the backdrop of the National Assembly bowing to 27 state governors over the refusal of autonomy for local government councils noted that if care is not taken, the masses at the grassroots may not enjoy dividends of democracy. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga reports.
The clamor for local government autonomy has been on for years as many Nigerians, groups, non-governmental organizations, including President Muhammadu Buhari, have continued to call for the independence of local government. It will be recalled that the National Assembly recently passed 35 of the 44 bills in the Constitutional Amendment bills to the President for assent, indicating that the complete exclusion of financial and administrative autonomies for local government councils lost out. Reacting to this development, a public affairs analyst, Dr. Soji Akinpelu, and a legal practitioner, Mr. Moses Obadito, noted that it is apt and economically important that the monopolistic nature of the power transmission between the state and the local government council be broken. They added that allowing the local government councils, who are the closest to the people, manage their funds and other resources will help in the areas of human capacity building, social investment, and other infrastructural developments. The duo pointed out that aside the constitution recognizing Nigeria as a federation and placing the control of the local government councils under states, many of the projects initiated by some state governments never saw the light of the day. Therefore, there is need for financial autonomy for local governments to enhance grassroots development.
I understand 27 states out of 36 did not want the local government to be, to be free from the state. It's unfortunate. They should allow local government to function autonomously, freely, so that they use their allocation the way they want.
I feel it's a violation of the constitution not to allow the local government. Yes, they may not have total autonomy, but they should have allowed them to have financial autonomy where their money should be released to them. And then they carry out their procedure, how they will go about managing the development in the rural area. Because the state, I don't find it difficult to manage the resources.
Board says out of the 44 constitutional alteration bills forwarded to state assemblies for concurrence, only 35 were endorsed by 27 state assemblies out of the 36 state legislatures, with complete exclusion of financial and administrative autonomy for local government councils. Oluwa Tobiloba, Odunuga, OSBC News.
Barely few days to the January 31st, Nigerians remain apprehensive as many are yet to sight or touch the new Naira notes ahead of the deadline. Observations by OSBC News revealed that business transactions are still carried out with the old Naira notes of 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira. Sonia Honoride has more of the story.
As this winds up to the January 31st deadline of phasing out the old Naira notes, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, maintained that there will be no extension for the depositing of the old Naira notes. Speaking shortly after the meeting of Monetary Policy Committee in Abuja, Mr. Emefiele apologized to Nigerians for not extending the deadline, stressing that Nigerians had 100 days from the time the announcement was made until expiration date to deposit their old notes, adding that the current sensitization will continue until the deadline, January 31st. Speaking on the current public sensitization, Deputy Director, Banking Supervision, Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Adetona Adedeji, said that the Apex Bank is quadrupling efforts in ensuring that more new Naira notes were circulated across the country before deadline.
Banks have been supplied with enough new currency to go around. We are appealing to our people to please go to their various banks, go to their ATM, withdraw the new note. Take all the old currency and go and deposit it in your banks. All the old currency, 1,000 Naira note, 500 Naira note, and your 200 Naira note. Please take them to your banks for deposits. Because by 31st of January, by midnight 31st January, 1,000 Naira old note, 500 Naira old note, and 200 Naira cease to be legal tender in Nigeria. The new currency, redesigned currency, has taken effect. That's only what we'll be using effective February, from the time it was issued and effective February 1st. The old note will no longer be a legal tender. Please, we are appealing to our people to please take their old currency to their bank, use their ATM to withdraw.
Session by OSBC News at commercial banks and business premises visited in Oshogbo, the state capital, revealed that transactions were still being done with old notes. Mr. Onyema Udeze, a retailer at Okoniti, who expressed frustration on the acute shortage of new Naira notes, implored the federal government to extend the deadline.
It's good as we change it, but the issue is this: we poor masses, they take and stop us because of. So every day we are selling market. I don't have account. If I sell, I go and feed my family. If I don't sell, I will not get what to eat. Please, I will allow them to shift this a little bit so that we can get this, the new one circulate. We love the new one, but they don't circulate. When you went to bank, anyone want to buy something from you, will give you old one. So if somebody buys something from you now, you give you old one, we'll be happy. Then you give you the old one. Then nowhere you say 1.5, stay 2,000. Is it there 2,000 you carry to bank and change it?
So recall that the Central Bank of Nigeria had in November last year announced new monetary policy, including redesigning of 200 Naira, 500 Naira, and 1,000 Naira notes, technically designed to stem kidnapping, banditry, and counterfeiting. Saya Ononide reporting.
Go on a commercial break. Major reports continues shortly.
1,000. We go once play tire. Farabade now.
Madam, hello lówó wa.
Brother, na 3,005.
Màá fún yín ní owó pé káàdì Glo ẹlẹ́gbẹ̀rún 10,000.
Oh yeah.
Bring your phone.
Ha! 10,000. 10,000.
10,000 turn to 10,000. Now.
All of us don't know about Glow Berekete. Ní ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá nísìnyí.
Ṣé o ti gbọ́? Ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá ló máa gbà lórí iyekíye tó o bá rà sórí ohun ìpè Glow Berekete 10 times rẹ.
I told you. Now what go tell?
You are welcome to our sports segment. Belarusian fifth seed Arina Sabalenka won her first Grand Slam singles title by fighting back to beat Elena Rybakina in the Australian Open final. Elena Rybakina has been one of the most unrated Wimbledon champions in recent history as a result of her low profile and a ranking that is artificially low because points were not awarded at All England Club last year. Omotayo Adibodo has the rest of the story and more.
In an absorbing contest which showcased the power of both players, 24-year-old Sabalenka triumphed 4-6, 6-3, 6-4. Sabalenka, who won under a natural flag because of Belarus' support of Russia's war in Ukraine. Its 51 winners at an high-risk game paid off in Melbourne. Meantime, Dina Asher-Smith set a new British record as she won the women's 60-meter at the World Indoor Tour in Germany. Asher-Smith clocked a time of 7.04 seconds to beat Poland's Ewa Swoboda, who finished in 7.09 seconds. Swiss sprinter Mujinga Kambuje. In another development, Brighton has told midfielder Moses Caicedo to take time off until after Tuesday's transfer deadline. The move comes amid uncertainty over the 21-year-old's future after he told them he wanted to be allowed to leave after bids from Arsenal. Brighton feel it is in no one's decision for Caicedo to be around the club at the present, but still expect him to be with them for the remainder of the season. Brighton have turned down a £60 million bid from Premier League leaders Arsenal for him and also reportedly rejected an earlier £55 million offer from Chelsea. Brighton are sixth in the Premier League, 5 points behind fifth place Tottenham and with 2 games in hand on Spurs. Omotayo Adibodun, OSBC News.
And moving on to the foreign scene, the United States military has carried out an operation that killed a senior ISIL leader in northern Somalia. A statement by Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said a U.S.-designated ISIL leader in Somalia and key facilitator for ISIS global network Bilal al-Sudani was killed in the operation. It added that the operation was approved by President Joe Biden earlier this week and carried out on January 25. Austin said al-Sudani was responsible for fostering the growing presence of ISIS in Africa and for funding the group's operation worldwide, including Afghanistan. There were no other details about the operation given, including how the U.S. forces carried out the operation or even how many American soldiers were involved. Reports say in 2012, before al-Sudani joined ISIS, he was sanctioned by the U.S. Department of Treasury for his role in facilitating financing for foreign fighters to travel to an al-Shabaab training camp. A Somali government offensive, which began in August 2022 against al-Shabaab after the election of Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, has also made significant gains, but the group, which has been fighting since 2007 to topple Somalia's government and impose a strict interpretation of Islamic law, has responded with a series of attacks across the country. And that ends the major report on OSBC TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbola, wishing you a wonderful night rest.